Joining us now is one of the top-ranked analysts on Apple. That's Brian Marshall of Gleacher Co. He joins us live this morning from San Francisco. Brian, if this isn't a sure thing, there are going to be a lot of disappointed investors. Does the phone offered by Verizon match exactly what will be offered by AT&T and their Apple iPhone?
Sure. Thanks, Margaret. I think clearly we're dealing with two different area interfaces here, GSM or wideband CDMA on AT&T, and obviously CDMA on the Verizon network. So from an area interface standpoint, they will be different, but at the end of the day, from a user perspective, pretty much the same. The expectation is that the reception, however, is much better on the Verizon network compared to the current AT&T network.
Well, there were so many complaints about the inability to give the correct amount of bandwidth out to users on AT&T's part. Talk to me about Verizon. It's the nation's largest carrier here. Can they avoid AT&T's mistakes?
Sure. I think from a spectral efficiency standpoint, CDMA technology at Verizon is much better than AT&T. So, they've had a much longer time to prepare. Clearly the demand from the iPhone really brought AT&T network to its knees and caught them off guard from an infrastructure standpoint. So I think Verizon is going to be in a better network perspective as well as air interface perspective, and we ultimately think that will lead to a much better user experience.
But putting the potential products side by side, if it's not that different of a consumer experience, do you actually see customers abandoning AT&T to come over to Verizon to get these new phones?
Sure. I do think we will see a pretty material migration away from AT&T towards Verizon, and that's pretty much just out of frustration. I mean, if you look in New York or San Francisco or other densely populated areas, it's very difficult to even make a phone call sometimes with AT&T service on iPhone. So I think this will be a pretty material positive for Verizon as well as for Apple. We estimate 65 million units in calendar year 2011 will be shipped to the iPhone, and we think a little under 20% or about 12 million of those will actually be on Verizon network. So we think it's a pretty big deal.
Wow. So how many units sold in the first year for Verizon?
Well, we think it'll be about 12 million units, and that's assuming about a 5% penetration rate of Verizon's postpaid sub base, which is about 20% larger than AT&T's, despite both carriers having about 90 million total subs.
All right. Well, we're all waiting for tomorrow's official word. Thank you very much, Brian.